I call this meeting to order. Secretary, please take attendance.
Senator Gabra.
Here.
Senator Chua. Senator Lee. Senator Lopez Polito.
Here.
Senator Rubalcaba.
Present.
Senator Damavandi.
Present.
Senator Yan.
Here.
Senator Lim.
Here.
Senator Liu.
Here.
Senator Martinez.
Here.
Senator Withrow.
Here.
Senator Gooneman.
Here.
Senator Staba. Senator Kuriakos.
Here.
Senator Munoz. Senator Matt.
Attending.
Senator Artunian. Senator Halaka. Senator Sanhu.
Here.
Sturgill. Lee.
Here.
Vice President Eller. Vice President Dimla.
Here.
Vice President Tour.
Here.
We have quorum.
With that, we'll move on to approval of the minutes. Is there a motion on the floor?
I move to approve the minutes.
Second. There are no minutes to approve. So.
Okay. So in that case, we'll move on to our next item on the agenda, approval of the agenda. Is there a motion on the floor?
Motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Are there any objections? Hearing and seeing none, the motion is adopted. We will now move on to public comment. Are there any members of the public who wish to address the Senate at this time? Hearing and seeing none, we will move on to executive officer reports. Are there any executive officer reports?
Yes, so we have finished the aspect interviews, so Randy is working on the legislation to be voted on next week. So STFB is meeting every Tuesday from 3 to 5. We have 12 clubs applied for funding so far, and they are going through the interview process. Yesterday, Mental Health Commission was boothing at the health fair at Wellness Fair. And on November 29th, Mental Health Commission is hosting movies for mental health in collaborations with Art with Impact.
Thank you. Are there any other executive officer reports? Hearing and seeing none, we will move on to our next item on the agenda, special committee reports. There are currently no special committees standing. So we will now move on to item 5, old business, 5409, formation of public information committee. Is there a motion on the floor? Yes.
I move to call in question R5409 by acclamation.
Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any objections?
In point of information, have we done the reading for them?
Yes. Yeah, we're already in a vote, but for future reference, old business that is items that have already been read. So all those in favor, please raise your hands. All those opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. With that, motion is adopted. Oh, okay. With that, R5409 is adopted. We will now move on to the next item on the agenda, B5402, ASUCI Senate Office Computer Chairs.
We should to call our B5402 acclamation.
Second?
Second.
Are there any objections? Hearing and seeing none, we will move on to a vote. All those in favor, please raise your hands. All those opposed? Any abstentions? With that, B5402 is adopted. We will now move on to new business. Item 1, Office of the Internal Vice President, called forward with free budget report for 10 minutes.
Hello everyone, I'm just going to present all the budgets from my office with all the commission and just our internal budget as well. Next slide. So for stipends, we actually had a mistake that was just caught today morning, and Kajika has removed the check request under stipends and moved it to anti-terrorist in action. That was issued by mistake, and that'll be updated in the week 7 budget presentation. All of that is left untouched. For advertising and publicity, we have our IVP green shirts. We ordered 100 of them for all of our interns and the commissioner core staff. I also reimbursed my, sorry, back. So we also had training and orientation food that was for orientation. And then we had training, under training and orientation again, we had a core staff training where we paid for the Airbnb and all the core staff members pitched in for their own food. We also ordered IVP sweatshirts. Everyone paid $25 and $10 came out of IVP. So we had $200 that was taken out of IVP and everyone pitched in $25 per shirt. And then Amazon, I also purchased plastic coins for a privileged game. It's called Star Power. The Star Power game actually on like the game to buy the entire game set is $250, but you could also build your own game. So I chose to build my own game for $25 and purchase that instead of purchasing the game itself. The no description provided for this transaction, I actually emailed Kajika to find out what that was. So I'll let you all know when I find out what it is. We purchased tea mugs and tea mug holders for the ASUCI office so that students can have free access to tea. It's like a method of self-care, and we made our office more open for anyone in ASUCI to come in and get some tea. Yeah. The next one is mileage reimbursement for our ASUCI internal review retreat. Kajika, Dow, Mina, and Jenna drove to the retreat, which was held in Lake Arrowhead, so that's just a mileage reimbursement for the next 4 line items. The next one is UC Regents payroll from contingency. That's just the benefits and everything. Any questions on that one? Yes.
What's the time I'm confused?
So it's just a tea mug, like,
Is it like in the AS office or is it in your office?
it's in our office.
Like your office?
Next one. Guardian hasn't spent anything, but that's their budget. Next one. Student Life and Advocacy. Asked for their interns for the next couple of meetings. They had a training as well, and that's what the $9.81 is from. Next slide. For food security, we bought Swipe Out Hunger t-shirts and 100 stickers for the Zone Out Hunger campaign, and that's the line item under program costs, and that's the program costing. Next one. Anti-terrorism action, UCI gave back, we just submitted the check request, but it's not reflected on this yet, so you'll probably see it in week 7. Next one. For RAR, we ordered Domino's Pizza for all the ASUCI members for open house, and then we also had boba for open house, and that's the recruitment retention 927. Next one, legal clinic, there's nothing. Next one, sustainability project. When I higher education sustainability conference that was held in UC Santa Barbara over the summer. So that's just the hotel and the travel costs that went into the conference and travel. Next one, transportation, nothing's been done yet. Basic needs security, nothing's done yet. International student advocacy, nothing's done yet. And then vendor fair. Vendor fair, the telephone was used over summer, so that's the phone bill that came out. None of the other charges have been processed yet. That's it.
So
We get money. So our projected income is dollars per vendor fair, but we got $10,000 this time. Yes.
I might have missed it, but where did you go for the retreat?
At Lake Arrowhead. Any other questions? Thank you.
That concluded, we'll now move on to our next item on the agenda, Office of the President's Budget Report for 10 minutes.
Hi. Thanks for listening. Can we go to the next one? So we, from the executive cabinet contingency, so the 5 of us share. So we bought the flyers that's like the bookmarks for it to promote ASUCI because we booth at every single spot in orientations over the summer, including the international spot. So as you can tell, it ran out pretty fast. So we ordered about 1,000 at a time, but then we quickly realized that we probably need more than that. So we spent a total of $693 for 4,000 flyers, and we still have some left. And about we also hosted all ASUCI orientations thanks to Broad Commissions, and they spent 2,000 just for supplies, attendees, and the venue's cost is not yet processed, so it's not subtracted into the budget yet. Office supplies, so I spent $17.78 for $125, but then after 2 months, I ran out of all 125 business cards, so I ordered another box. So I spent a total of $35.56 so far. And I attended UC Council of Presidents meeting at hosted by UC Santa Cruz Student Government. So the cost of the flight is $307. So it's from Santa Ana to San Jose Airport because San Jose Airport is the closest to Santa Cruz. And then I used ground transportations from the airport to UC Santa Cruz, and that cost $101. And then hotel $232, food $35.15. So don't worry, it's a 2-day thing. I didn't starve. It's just that UC Santa Cruz paid for a lot of the meals. So I spent a total of $676 for that trip. And next Wednesday, I'm flying to Oakland to meet UC presidents Jen Napolitano with UC, the other student body presidents from across the UC, both undergraduates and graduates. But the cost of flight is completely paid for by UCOP, so it's not going to come out of our budget. So they are spending $452 for the flight, and since it's a 1-day thing, no lodging or food is needed. My mental health commission, so we spent $20 for the boothing registration fee at yesterday's wellness fair, but our budget is still $24,500. Student Program Funding Board, so this year the budget is $130,000, so that's about 10,000 increase from last year's, and so far, as of this moment, we have 12 clubs applied and their requests ranging from 100 to 3,000. And we're still in the process of interviewing them, so it's not subtracted from the budget yet. And campus climate, so the budget is 12,000, we have not touched it. Housing security, 10,000, research, 6,000, so we still have not spent them. So I guess that's it of my presentation.
Thank you. So with that, we'll now move on to our next item on the agenda.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Just to clarify, like, what do you mean by money or the amount of money?
The amount of money that we have total, and like that, those 3 commissions I have.
So for the moving thing, it was 24,000 something?
Yeah.
So
No,
you
it was
used-
$20 at the end.
I mean, yeah, $10, 24 point something, and you use $20, so it's like $4 left. That's what I meant.
Sorry.
Because it was like $24.
4,000.
Like,
Which one?
For mental health.
not for mental health, not for the moving thing.
Yeah, it was the mental health.
Oh yeah, okay, that. Like 4,000, so you use $20, so there's like $24,480 left. Okay, just make sure.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you.
So with that, we'll now move on to our next item on the agenda, Office of the Academic Affairs Vice President, budget report for 10 minutes.
Could you refresh the page? I just added a slide. Oh, wait, no, never mind, it's there.
Okay.
All right, so this is my budget report so far. Next slide. The first slide, here we have the Academic Affairs Office budget. The only thing that we've spent on is training, orientation, and food. So next slide. With training and staff development, we've spent $560.30 on t-shirts for the office, and this is to be wearing at events that we host, like speakers events and engagement events. And we hosted an academic affairs orientation on September 29th, for which we bought pizza, soda, and index cards for reflection, written reflection for our office members to complete. Next slide. The Academic Senate has $700 and they have not yet spent any of it. Academic Engagement has $2,700 and they have yet to spend any of it. The Antler Mentorship Program has spent $80.89 on flyers to recruit mentees throughout the SPOT, Antler Involvement Fair, and other boothing opportunities up until week 1. And then they paid $16 to register to booth at AIF. Speakers has $60,000 and they have yet to spend it. Yes, question.
How much is the total budget for AMP?
For AMP, they have $2,900. Yes. Visions Leadership has $6,300 and they have not yet spent any of it. And that's it. Do you have any questions?
Thank you. So with that, we'll move on to our next item on the agenda. Office of the Student Services Vice President, budget report for 10 minutes.
Hello, yeah, can we do the next slide? So, these are just my basic office supplies. Sorry, it's a little small at the place now. But I have my stipends. I spent about $26 on office supplies. That's like tape and scissors mostly. Oh, can you go back? Sorry. Yeah, and then about $264 on like training and orientation. So I'm orientation. And there was some supplies such as renting the room, buying food, and like little snacks, I guess. And the Wolverine shirts, my artist budget was $2,500. Was $25,250, $25,400 because we had to pull for the artist transportation. Facilities, I spent about my budget $60K. We're still waiting on a lot of our final receipts and bills. So that's still a little up in the air. Guinness cost was about $15K. Artist writers, I took those out of the entertainment budget and program cost mostly. That's writers out of their towels, supplies, that sort of Best, I owe some money. I 66 35 on famous text and 11 on writer. That's going to be not processed yet. That's tomorrow, but that's going to include all their food, all the supplies, and everything. And that's my next point. The security, fire, and EMS. They all are part of that budget under facilities and equipment. Next. And Screen the Green for Welcome Week, I decided to take it out of my movie nights budget, just because it made, I had to reallocate some stuff. So that is 5298 for the screen rental and the movie rights.
Our next item on the agenda, intern program, 6:30. So we are ahead of schedule.
Yeah, a lot.
To postpone until 5:30. Yes, table. Until 5:30. Is that 5:30 or 6:30? Oh, 6:30. Are there any objections? Hearing seeing none, this motion is adopted, so we will now move on to item 6, R5411, amendment of the Student Program Funding Board, SPFB guidelines regarding board membership for 10 minutes. Will the author please give a reading?
All right, legislation R54.
I move the legislation to rules by committee rule.
Hold on, you have to read it.
We have to go through reading first.
Okay.
Legislation R5411, amendment of the Student Program Funding Board, SPFB guidelines regarding board membership. Whereas the Student Programming Funding Board, hereafter referred to as SPFB, is an integral component of the Associated Students of UC Irvine's effort to support student engagement by providing reasonable funding to registered campus organizations serving the welfare of the undergraduate student population. And whereas the previous amendments to the guidelines of the SPFB were made 3 years ago, and whereas the SPFB has been allocated a treasury of $130,000 to fulfill its purpose this academic year, and whereas the SPFB is under the ASUCI Office of the President, and whereas current SPFB guidelines require ASUCI senators who are designated chairs of Rules, Finance, and Public Information Senate committees to be full voting members, and whereas the guidelines also require that the, quote, Senate committee's chair, end quote, is also a voting member of the SPFB. There's no such role in the ASUCI Senate. And whereas the roles of committee chair have additional responsibilities on top of those pertaining to the office of ASUCI Senator, which may impede these individuals from serving effectively on SPFB, and whereas that the third article, Student Programming Funding Board, Section C membership of the SPFB guidelines currently states, quote, C membership, the board shall consist of 9 members made up as follows. 1, the ASUCI president or another executive officer. 1 Senate Finance Chair, 1 Public Info Chair, 1 Senate Rules Chair, 1 Senate Committees Chair, 1 Cross-Cultural Center member appointed by a majority of the 5 umbrella organization boards, 3 Student at-large members appointed by the ASUCI Senate, and the Undergraduate Student Programming Commissioner appointed by the Office of the President and approved by the Senate. In the absence of any of the members of the Student Programming Funding Board, the Student Programming Funding Board Commissioner can assume voting power for the time being, but must relinquish their right to vote if that particular member is no longer absent. The Commissioner will not be able to represent a Senate committee chair if a vice chair from the Senate or representative of that committee is present and representing the committee in lieu of their chair. Therefore, let it be resolved, the third article, Student Programming Funding Board, Section C membership of the SPFB guidelines be amended to read, quote, Section C membership, the board shall consist of 9 members made up as follows. 1, the ASUCI president or another executive officer in lieu of the ASUCI president. 1 appointed Senate Finance Committee representative. 1 appointed Senate Public Information Committee representative. 1 appointed Senate Rules Committee representative. 1 Senate President or Senate President pro tempore in lieu of the Senate President. 1 umbrella organization liaison from the Cross-Cultural Center or their designee student or professional staff. 3 student at-large members appointed by the ASUCI Senate, and the Undergraduate Student Programming Commissioner appointed by the Office of President and approved by the Senate. The members of the Senate committees mentioned above who are to represent the respective committees shall be appointed by the Senate President. In the absence of any of the members of the Student Programming Funding Board, the Student Programming Funding Board Commissioner can assume voting power for the time being, but must relinquish their right to vote if that member is no longer absent. The Commissioner will not be able to represent a Senate committee representative if another Senate committee member of that committee is present. That it finally be resolved, excuse me, that finally be resolved that the ASUCI President and the Commissioner of the Student Programming Funding Board are to be informed by the ASUCI Senate President of these amendments within a reasonable period of time after the passage of this resolution. The Senate President may inform the aforementioned individuals of the changes through any professional channel that they deem sufficient. References the current board guidelines. Sorry, I know that was a long read, but thank you for listening.
So what exactly is the change? Like how does the change work?
Okay, so as the guidelines currently stand, they call for the chair of finance, public info, and rules, along with the Senate committee's chair, to be voting members of the board. The first change is to allow any member of those committees I mentioned to be part of the board, kind of like how we have Senate representatives to be part of joint committees. So it's no longer automatically the chair of the committee, it's whoever wants to do it, and then the Senate president okays it. So that anyone from the committee can serve. Like, as the legislation says that if you're a chair of a committee, you have extra responsibilities, so you're not always available to attend the SPFA meeting. And as a voting member, you should pretty much always be there. So this allows any member of the respective committees to be part of SPFB. The second change changes Senate Committee's chair, which is a non-existent role in the ASUCI Senate, to specifically Senate President or the pro tem obviously can't attend for one reason or another. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. It's a minor change, but it's pretty long to be started and included.
So when I talked with Mary, who is the SPFB commissioner, she told me that because it said that the cross-cultural center person had to come to the meeting and only he could be a voting member, but it's only one person in that position, and so I think right now he can't come to the on Tuesdays from 2 to 5. So the cross-cultural center doesn't have a vote. So they want to change it so that he can, the cross-cultural center person could appoint someone else to go to the meeting to vote.
Yeah, that's also a change on here I forgot to mention.
So Senator Goodman, I believe you were next.
Just to clarify the last clause, so have you talked about this with Mary, or are you going to talk about this with Mary after this passes or fails?
Oh, it has already been discussed with Mary. I actually did not, in the original draft, I didn't have the change for the cross-cultural center situation. So she suggested that I change that so that the cross-cultural center can have their voting representative present during the SPF board meetings. So yes, there has been collaboration with Mary, the current commissioner of SPFB. The reason why the last clause is there is sort of a formality that they will be, I mean, Annie's already here, so she knows and she's read it, but it's a formality just to say that, hey, we're already going to tell you that these changes were made, in case you didn't hear. But I mean, Annie's here and I've been talking with Mary about the change she requested, so they already know.
Senator Damfandi and Senator Calderon?
So you're not getting rid of people so people from finance, it just won't be the chair because the chair is has other stuff to do. It's so people from each committee.
Yeah, correct. So there's still 9 members. It's just that no longer is the chair required to be the representative from that committee. It can be anyone on the committee that wants to do the job.
What if the chair does want to do it?
Then
do they get first priority?
they can indicate their preference. That's at the discretion of Senate President.
My question was the same about appointing
Okay. President Lee?
It's just my one concern is that from chairs of each committee, so it's now open up to any representative, so are we diluting? But because, for example, in SPFB, the marketing interns cannot vote, only the SPFB at-large senators can vote. So I'm just so I would like to commit this to, I need to commit this.
So are you making a motion?
Yes, motion.
All right, is there a second? All right, Senator Lopez, is there an objection? All right, hearing and seeing none, this resolution is committed to rules. We'll now move on to our next item on the agenda, which is B5403, funding for Why Business Sustainability Matters, panelist event for 10 minutes. Will the author please give a reading?
Whereas this under Julie Lim is spearheading an initiative to instill sustainability within the School of Business. Whereas while UCL is ranked #1 coolest school by Sierra Club and ranked #1 by the Association for the Advancement of Sustainability in Higher Education Sustainable Campus Index, the School of Business has yet to fully implement sustainability principles and efforts. Whereas business students should be aware of the impact businesses have on communities and on the environment, whereas Julie Lim has created a 68-page proposal to Mirage about the importance of business sustainability. Whereas Julie Lim's objective is to bring awareness to business sustainability such ethics and eventually into the curriculum within the Mirage School. Whereas Julie Lim is planning a speaker event focused on crucial interconnections between enterprise and global sustainability. But the purpose of this event is to educate future business leaders on the important role business have in sustainability and to showcase students' interest on this topic to the School of Business. Whereas the event is titled Why Business Sustainability Matters and is planned from November 8th, 6 to 8 p.m. at the Mirage Auditorium, SB1 1200. Whereas three panels will be there to present their case on the importance of business sustainability, will include Ernie Roberts, Sustainability Manager at Boca International, Dr. Nadera Abshramanesh, Vice President of Sustainability of Family Products, Ecos, and Dr. Oladeli Ogunleyton, the Department Chair of Population Health and Disease Prevention at UCI. An expected number of 150 attendees and is open to the public. The cost of the event includes $60 for marketing, 50 marketing flyers, and $50 for light refreshments, and then $30 for parking passes for 3 panelists, which comes out to $240. Let it be resolved that ACCS supports the efforts of this event. Let it further be resolved that that $210 will be allocated from the ACCS Senate and allocated account for this event. Let it further be resolved that any funds left over will be given back to the ACCS Senate unallocated account. Motion to amend this bill.
Second to the last slide here.
Huh?
No.
Oh yeah, motion to amend this bill and to add Vice President of Sustainability of Earth-Friendly Products. It's the third whereas before the budget part, or yeah, the third to last whereas.
Would it be this one here?
Yeah. So, President of Sustainability of Earth-Friendly Products, and then also change $210 to $240. Wait, did we go with $300?
Yeah.
Oh, total is $210. Yeah.
Second.
Wait, what?
Wait, 678.
I order one at a time, please. So if you need to speak, please raise your hand and wait for me to call on you.
Oh, wait.
So Senator Martinez,
There was a second.
Oh, poop, no.
Okay.
No.
So seeing that there was a second, are there any objections?
Sorry.
You could just pull your motion.
Oh, I pull my motion.
When you make a motion, that motion belongs to you as a senator. The moment that motion is seconded, you relinquish control of that motion and it belongs to the assembly. At that moment, you can no longer withdraw your motion.
Okay.
I object.
Sorry, everybody.
So there was a second and an objection, so we will now move on to a roll call vote on this motion. Vote in the affirmative if you would like to adopt the amendment. Vote in the negative if you would like to not adopt the amendment.
Wait, it should be. Wait. The amendment is to make it $210, right? So we should vote. Okay.
Wait, will the maker of the second please raise their hands? Okay. Okay, so once again, vote in the affirmative if you would like to adopt the amendment. Vote in the negative if you would like to not adopt the amendment.
Point of information, the amendment was to change.
Okay, we're in the roll call
Okay.
vote, so we will now move to the vote.
Senator Gabra.
No.
Senator Cervantes. Senator Chua. Senator Lee. Senator Lopez Polito.
No.
Senator Danhash. Senator Rubalcaba.
No.
Senator Damavandi.
No.
Senator Yan.
No.
Senator Lim.
No.
Senator Liu. Sorry, no. Senator Martinez,
Nope.
Senator Gunnaman,
No.
Senator Saba,
No.
Senator Kuriakose,
No.
Senator Matt,
No.
Senator Artunian, Senator Halaka,
No.
Senator Sanhu,
No.
Senator Shergill,
No.
Senator Gill.
No.
Is there any senator I did not call? Names have it.
If that motion fails, we'll now resume debate.
So we'll have to like change 210 to 240 now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Motion to amend the second to the last, let it further resolve. Like the 210 to 240.
Second.
All right. Are there any objections? All right, hearing is adopted.
Motion to amend this bill to add urban just present.
Just one moment, Secretary can write down the motion. All right, is there a second? Any objections? Hearing and seeing none, this amendment is adopted.
I think so. I think that was it.
Motion to.
Or do you want me to talk about this?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yes?
My first question is, what office or department under the Mirage School are you working with to host this event?
Center for Global Leadership.
Can I ask a second question?
Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Please go ahead.
My second question is if what the amount the bill is asking for is $240, why doesn't that Excellence Center just fund $240?
Good question.
We
So-
are the business school, like, I could comfortable like asking for the Centers of Excellence for $240.
So, yeah, I talked to them, and then at first, they were on board with this, but then they thought that it wasn't possible to do it on such short notice, and then they backed out. But then once I finalized all 3 panelists, they got back in. So then, I said that, I asked them if they could, give us some money for this event. And then they said yes, but this is just in case if they don't have enough money, because I know the business department is pretty well off, but the Center for Global Leadership, I believe, is the newest center of excellence. And right now, the only people in that office are the people who made the center. And by my knowledge, I don't think they have any sponsors. Like, for example, CIWM has like over 50 sponsors that give like $5,000, but Center for Global Leadership doesn't. So this is just in case that they can't give enough money. So that's why I added the part where it says leftover money will be given back to the ASUCI Senate account. So this is just like a just in case.
Oh,
Senator, okay. Senator Damahandi?
So, does the event cost money if you just said if you don't have enough to fund it?
Yeah, I don't know how much money they have. They told me to try to find funding, and then they'll also help out. So it's not like 100% clear. But I don't believe I would probably use all $240 for this event. Yeah.
Senator Bacala?
So all these prices on the bill, the total $240 is not the total cost of the event?
We're gonna try to see if we could get more funding so we could do more than just fruits and nuts. Because it's gonna be from 6 to 8 p.m. That's dinner time, and I would think people expect like dinner food, but then I didn't want to ask that of Senate to fund like, that much for dinner, or like, to spend for dinner, so I thought we needed to. But yeah, we're gonna try to find more for that.
Right. Senator Damahandi?
So, there is no cost for the venue, the Mirage Auditorium?
Yeah, typically they do cost money, but because I'm from the business department, actually I don't know how I didn't spend any money, but then the person who booked it for me didn't charge me. So, but usually you do get charged. I just didn't get charged.
Senator Martinez?
Actually, never mind, we can.
Yeah.
Senator Damavati?
And the panelists, there's no charge either for the people coming through?
Yeah, I try to find local people who I don't have to spend transportation on because I know that's a big cost.
Senator McAlpin?
Did you, necessarily run this by, but like, talk with Mirage, like, admins about this event?
Yeah, I talked to the assistant dean about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Senator Damavati?
Motion to commit to finance.
Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any objections? Alright, hearing and seeing none, motion is adopted. We'll now move on to Senate intern program reports. So we had orientation for 2 of our interns today. The last Senate intern interview is today at 6:30. After that, I'll be working with Isaac, who was our intern commissioner last year, to basically reuse the Google form that we used last year to keep track of Senate intern requests. Once that is up, I'll post it on the Senate Facebook group and email it out to everyone so that you can request a project and then an intern can complete the project. Other than that, there's nothing to report at this time. So with that, we'll move on to item 8.
Oh, well, I think we missed mine.
Yeah, okay, my apologies. So we did miss item 8. So we will move on to item 8 under item 6, R5412, formation of finance committee for 10 minutes. Will the author please give a reading?
Yeah. Whereas the 2018-2019 academic school year has begun and newly elected Senate members do not currently reside in the Senate committee. Whereas all Senate members are required to sit in the Senate committee, therefore let it be resolved that the Finance Committee will be composed of the following members, with more members to be added or deducted or seen necessary by the President of the Senate. Judy Lim, Chair, Brian Gunaman, Vice Chair, Sergio Cervantes, Joe Hanna, Faith Castillo-Chua, Brian Mavandi, Daniel Martinez, Vivian Kuriakos, Tinman.
A motion to call to question.
Second.
By
Roll call.
no information.
Second.
Okay. Alright, so all those in favor of adopting this legislation, please raise your hands. All those opposed, please raise your hands. Any abstentions? Alright, with that, motion is adopted. We'll now, who was the second of that motion?
That was the second.
Alright, with that, we'll move on to committee breakouts for 20 minutes.
What do you think of that side?
Julie.
Julie, are you going?
Yeah, I'm
Caleb, right here. Sit right there, please.
We're gonna vote on. Vote Did you go to the Did you go to the center? Did you go to the Oh wait, you're doing graduate school. We're doing graduate school. You don't need to go to
But you're not engineering.
Wait, he's left.
I didn't Wait, Joey. The hourly legislation. That's all.
Oh, did you guys talk about it?
Fine.
Okay.
That's what.
Yeah,
Okay,
really?
right, and then we can search for the legislation.
Yeah.
It's gonna get longer term.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay, let's go.
I'm estimating about 100 people.
Oh, wait, so who's in charge of this? Wait.
Okay. Because this is like, this sustainability isn't actually the isn't like because of the business undergraduate. I try to make it a
He's no, I was just in contact with him. Well, I mean, like, they asked me to, like,
Yeah, we have this all.
I can Google the game.
Like, since we don't have any, like,
Yeah, they
jurisdiction
do.
over, like, until there is, then
That was like 2 years ago.
Yeah, but like.
making housing go up and giving that money to the
But that's what we're doing. We're just like.
I mean,
Last night, there were like more people who came than like there were.
They do, but then they don't like, they're not. So, yeah, that's why, like,
we can't give you money, you know, like, it's not, like, I personally don't wanna endorse something that like is gonna go like poorly in the future.
Like, what if every business student wants
I'm
to
just doing
go
it
to
so
the
that
back?
it's like.
Yeah, I mean, doing it
attached to that, so like,
cool,
just in case it does happen.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can legally
cool
do
if
it
not
in like your child's name.
Yeah,
That's like
not
an
posting
experience,
it, not
right?
posting
Because
it.
obviously this isn't gonna happen.
Yeah, they just
like,
said they didn't give me the
anytime
okay to
soon.
do it.
But I
They
don't
just
have
gave her a
like,
room.
my name on it, at least,
Okay.
so.
I would say so, because I did have four.
No, I'm gonna get
Yeah, I know, it's like a tough one, because like, you're really good.
All but one.
Yeah, but I think it's
Oh.
they're not good enough, because they're specific, yeah. PCI has a very different system than other universities. So like, UCS, one of the only, so you ask about the other UC campuses where like.
Wait, it's 6, because there's no pay.
Oh, yeah. They don't have like.
I remember you talked to Erin. Erin is yeah. So last year about creating the budget in the budget.
Yes.
How do you can't work?
No, I mean like, I'm too busy with course to make such a program.
And everyone.
Parking was going
Yeah.
up.
Well, I mean, if you know SQL, I guess,
I'm
or
sure
R.
they
Wait, Matt, you know out of here. I mean, you know R, right? I mean, I know R, but like, I don't have time to like.
Oh, that's like
Because not really R plus like.
So what we wanted to do was, on the ACI page.
Like we are.
Yes.
So we see at the budget for spend, like, in real time, on the website, literally, you can
People all together. I mean, we go.
Yeah, and that was the program I was trying to make, but I didn't have time to make it.
I think they really should have studied more into.
Yeah, like, would you want to spend just to have a better website? Like, to be honest, like, I have like some people from the company guys, who have some company who are willing to help us build a better website. Because right now we're using Word.
Right, yeah.
But like, I don't know if anyone's like down to like, make I mean, they're not doing it for free, definitely, because they, like, I guess they need money, but like, I don't know if anyone's down to like, make ASUCI website better. It looks super.
Yeah, it's business, so. But we want to make it so like, to definitely look at this, oh, this is much a business loss, how are we gonna make up? Like, at the end of the day.
I mean, last year, we charged like $50 for our website, but I think we're gonna charge more this year, because they were broke last year.
Get more money.
Yeah, just
And $50 for a website is really, because if you're hiring professionals, like, they're $100, right? I mean, the Wix is hard to get. Like, it's too high, it's too high level, like, you don't need to, it's not really customizable.
Yeah.
Because basically what happened was I asked them to apply for that last quarter. I mean, this quarter, like, last quarter, and you know how bad our website was? Like, There was like guidance for calendars and time, which is like, why would you do that? And like, yeah, we could help you, but we couldn't come up with I mean, I am currently doing this. I mean, I'm currently scheduling some meetings.
Yeah, it's more like people. Yeah.
Maybe if they show credits, choose like the older ones.
They have
They have a system, but we don't have access.
No, the problem
to it.
is, it's not like, it's not like, you remember how we want to make it into like,
No, this is real time. Every time they subtract, it shows you. We don't have access to it.
But then can they just
But the person who has.
Does anyone check? Do you think
I mean, to be honest, it's just for like, people who don't care, they just don't care. People who care,
So people have to any Facebook level, this kind of class like imagine
how much do you think of the
But then the guy.
No, the thing is, they actually like $100.
It's like when they get married, they let the girl do
worst
it.
I'm very like, I like to look at the bottom, I also like whenever I glance something, okay, well, what's gonna happen? You see how is it?
Yeah, but that is how it is. I mean, if we don't do that, people won't come to September because we're not gonna get money.
If they like have a arranged marriage, and like the girl and like each other, then
I mean, I guess it makes sense for like school.
they don't want to
They don't want to do it. It looks bad if they make it. It looks bad if they're not.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Like I like lost like one day. It's like a lot.
Yeah, I mean, you should leave your opinion to the guy.
And that would be for 5,000 students. What's 250 divided by 5,000?
Well, I mean, I love
250,000 divided by 5,000. But I don't think it's hard to reach pretty soon.
It's gonna be closer to like Argentina. These poor ladies like random people.
Well, you can't just do that, but the people who are pushed in front, they can't.
There's a lot of things that we're.
Yeah, and like texting, like that's why like I think a lot of people in media want their tuition. It sounds like college would be $0, but it's still way more expensive.
Yeah.
Way too
And they
expensive.
can have their tuition, but like it's still in already. If you're going to place with that, and then you feel, it's like, I'm stressed at the time for your wedding.
It's like kind of dark.
Well, like I'm sure the people
I know, like, what do you want to think about it?
wrote this or like thought of this proposal, especially if they have schools with the cheaper housing. I don't think it went to UCI. They know UCI's housing.
Yeah, just like go study abroad, or like work abroad.
College overall
Bye.
makes me more
For
affordable.
4
Like
years.
tuition is only half of
But what,
the
you won't even tell them where I'm working.
So, you like, I'm gonna see like more little development work. Books, you know. What?
Yeah.
Did you guys like go to like a guy where I can like go after this half
budget
but then it's better for me to say no.
It's funny, both my roommates, they,
It is supposed to be this close.
We would all like literally always do it.
yeah. We're actually like, all of my roommates are doing images, so like, two
It discloses the minutes. It shows how much each.
they don't know.
It doesn't show how much money they spend.
Right, yeah, right,
It just shows how much
and
money
like, think about my parents, I know I'm with me, but.
Really wanna do this, they should look into every.
This is why we need the technical
Because I'm
grant.
sure some UCs, like, their housing is fine, but you
Yeah.
So they can just upload.
About that right now.
Like, just like a page.
And like at the same time, yeah, like tuition is all of the same across the board for all UCs, but they still have like they can do whatever they want for housing, you know, so I just didn't get behind it, you know. That's why I'm like,
Look. Security.
okay. Yeah.
Same. This is an issue. Same.
Hiding is hard to find.
I think the intent is like hard to make it hard to find. It's just how it
Look,
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
Where's the rules? Is there a rules committee?
Let's email Aaron and ask him.
All the committee.
So why don't you download?
Should all committee meet at
Yeah, so I mean, like, we have so many international students at UCI.
You're gonna have to get a meet outside.
But is it friendly, like, how important it is to stay, like,
Because we sent, I think.
right now, in-state tuition is 30,000, and
Maybe not,
out-of-state
that
is
is,
60,000.
we're not the purpose of life.
Like, around that. Or I mean, sorry, it's like, 15,000 tuition now. And then we have.
It doesn't matter, but it's more than 30
for out-of-state. So like, does that mean like UCI decides to start accepting more out-of-state? Because, like, if California residents really fear that, like, so one of them is there, like, they're choosing, like.
And you should send them a link to your
Yeah, because like, there's already been an audit, like, 2 years ago about it's on there, you're accepting more out-of-state because you make more money.
Ryan,
Because if you
what's
think
your
about
bill?
it, like,
My
$13,000
dude.
that we pay, like, it goes to specific areas, and like we're out of state, they say we should just call it $30,000. I don't really know where that 30,000 is going. But that's why we're accepting more like out of state or international students, because like, that's not fair, because then
I like
if you do
that.
that, you're. You still have.
Yeah, do you want to set different meetings? Wait, because I was thinking that, like, I want everyone to be interested in involved. So, since you guys are doing, like,
Doing this, if we can get into like our own school. And I think that's why,
maybe you might be,
Oh, did you download these snacks like I told you?
because I want everyone to be involved.
I don't feel like
So are you reading on
You get to see.
There's no law that says
I mean, if you get 32 on Sunday,
there's nothing stopping them from doing that, then
can we just do this?
they can do that. Even if it's for a year, then someone still could have to make that.
But the problem is,
I drove 5 people.
Is there an hour? Yeah, that's the turnaround.
was everyone outside?
Okay, can I send it?
Yeah. Yeah. Because they're not here.
Would that be an 8? Yeah, no, we asked him to be part of
Of course, she's like, she's right oh, yeah. Well, what do I need to know? I need to know
No,
the
it,
What do I need to
actually means you give up your first pay.
Exactly. You guys, my for me,
Yeah, if you say yes,
how to make it work. How to make it
Basically an engineer.
Yeah. Like,
Okay.
You're a digital engineer.
I first
no,
I
fake
feel
engineer.
like.
Because everything we do is fake.
Okay, no, it's just-
That's what 2 years ago, dude. That's what 2 years ago.
Right.
Oh, you know that, you know, Rich.
That's how you
Ryan?
get scholarships, that's how you get.
We have a question.
He is someone who
Okay,
is
turns out to be
like,
He doesn't even sound Indonesian. Like, what's the point?
He's not just an engineer. He's based in films. I grew up there, that's for sure, but like, I've always also stayed.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the way
I
it's
know a lot of
sounds,
people
so.
that do end up working.
His voice is super deep.
Like some of my cousins,
So
like, they
even
would
if,
go to the law
I
school.
will, we will write it down as an exception, because in reality, it would be creative.
Like, yeah, okay.
Exception means you don't take sides, and when you don't take sides, at the end of the day, you're taking a side.
I know, I was.
Legislation.
Okay, an exception. Yeah, okay.
And then like, I was trying to go like, I feel like it's still like, some of the comments here,
If they changed it since last year, they just.
No, you're supposed to be here.
I don't understand.
Yeah.
Well, the reason I put him after the budget reports.
Dude, professors can do whatever they want.
Budget reports.
Hey, see you there. See, you know?
Well, remember what you did last quarter? I am the business professor.
Oh, I know. I sent a mass email out to this communication professor.
I was taking her course.
Instead of saying visit senator, I just visit professor.
Exactly, that's what she said.
Wait,
It's that.
I put it out.
And I sent her like a screenshot, I was like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah, I feel like
And like Isaac and Greeny were both like, well, it's 30 seconds left.
yeah, that's true.
Like, patient.
Probably people that went to like go.
Randy, is it nice to have a Surface?
It's very nice. You know what this thing?
Because I'm planning to buy a new laptop. But
So like.
is that a Surface Pro?
Oh, wow.
Or is it a Surface laptop?
Oh, you're so cool.
Surface Pro.
Yeah.
How much does it cost? What's that?
1,300 that cost. It came with some other stuff.
Yeah. And then we have.
Oh, yeah.
That's gonna get crossed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's why.
Okay, are you calling me?
We call the beam. Call the beam.
Yeah, I'll ask him next time.
Call us the beam.
Like, I have some issues, I can.
So with committee breakouts over, we'll now move on to committee reports. Rules committee?
So we had our final interview for one of the Senate applicants today for the art senator. And we will be bringing them to, we'll be bringing them to the floor to confirm them. We discussed and passed the the formation of advocacy committee. And we reviewed absences again.
Finance committee?
Wait, can I have a question about that, or
Yeah.
is that later? Okay, you had to, you confirmed that.
Yeah, like if we choose to bring into the proper confirmation, if we like the applicant, then we write the legislation. Because we're not doing full Senate interviews anymore,
Okay.
to save time.
Okay.
Finance committee?
The bill, 6 yeses, 0 no's, 1 abstain. Actually, I don't know.
Wait, I thought it was only 6 of us. One,
She is.
two,
Wait, what did we, oh, did we say 6? Yeah, just kidding. 6 yeses, 0 no's.
All right, so there's a point of order.
What bill did you discuss?
The why business sustainability impact.
Okay, so I mentioned this to Rolls, and I'm gonna mention it to all of you. As a committee, you are not allowed to discuss anything that is not on the Senate agenda. So what you did today, technically and legally speaking, deprived the public of the right to be present. Because the Senate committed it to rules today, you did not have it on your agenda, which means you should be discussing what Senate committed to your committee today on Tuesday. Because Senate meetings are open, if a member of the public wants to listen to your committee discuss this legislation, they have that right.
Oh, got it.
So
Okay.
as much as I appreciate, well, no, it's not I, as much as the people appreciate your enthusiasm to get through these legislations, they also have the right to be present.
Got it.
So if you look at the agenda, if there is no legislation, for example, under finance and under public information, you have no business. So you should not be talking about anything. Rules Committee, for example, they were discussing the Student Programming Funding Board. They should not be doing that because it's not on their agenda. Finance, you had no agenda items, so you should not be discussing anything. On Tuesday, if it's put on the agenda, you can discuss it. So what you did doesn't count.
Okay.
So you have to basically, Tuesday would be the earliest we can actually vote on. Because Tuesday is when it would be on the agenda. Is that considered a report?
I'm just wondering though,
Yes.
so at least for the years I've been here, maybe I guess we've been doing it wrong, but then if we did it the way we did it previously, would those be void, or how does that work?
I spoke to Ms. Van Ginkel today. That's an entirely separate argument that Annie and all of the execs and your Senate president need to get into. Because, and I'm going to bring this up, all of the legislations that are passed require signatures to be valid. Have you signed any pieces of paper, Annie?
What? Yeah, they need to be signed, it's in our.
That's a separate item we'll get into later.
So does that conclude your report? Yes.
So has any of our actual bills or legislation been signed since it's digital?
I'm going to do that on Tuesday. I'm going to bring you pieces of paper. Your rules committee chairs your committee chairs will sign them if they pass. Then your Senate president will sign them if they pass the Senate, and then your president will sign them if she puts them into law.
How is that going to sustainability?
They have to be physically signed. Afterwards, they can be scanned online, and then the original copy is either maintained or shredded. But you need to have you need to have evidence that it was signed.
Not digitally?
Even if it's digital, but it first needs to be signed on paper or a digital signature, whichever system gets put into place. But something needs to happen.
So, Vice President,
And I also suggest that the printed copies that are signed be put into ASUCI archive in two libraries, because I don't think they have anything new since the 80s.
Yeah.
we've been doing it for a while. Okay, so we will now move on to Public Information Committee. So Public Information has no business. Advocacy Committee?
So legislation R 5404, it
Did not pass in committee with 0 to 1.
We'll now move on. Right, so we'll now move on to immediate business. There's no items under immediate business. We will now move on to school breakouts for 15 minutes.
How that works. So,
Wait, do we need both of us or she?
She has to,
She has to, yeah.
Okay.
Because before the start of the meeting, I do want
a
place for like the public to comment. Yeah, and like all that stuff.
Okay, I'm just gonna go off what I said. Yeah, I mean, that's how we've been doing it in previous years.
It's total members. It's total members. I can just control that.
Okay, the quorum of the Senate is a majority of its votes.
So let's just, okay, so that's 14.
Okay, so we still have quorum, so Senator Gavin, are you good?
Okay.
Thank you.
That's 6 people plus the teacher toolbox, so we're at.
So, and then,
The way it is right now, half absences, half an hour late. Or you can do it.
I think like the previous
Because it doesn't even have to be the day of the meeting. If they want to schedule one for the date, we can.
Yeah, here you go.
Like that actually might be better. Oh, no, it's 6:10 people, it'd be like 2 people plus, it'd be both of us plus others coming in.
Yeah, number 2.
This was the event. With potential snacks, with other like.
Right now, I think we can do it like. Coming in rolling, oh, okay.
Do you like them?
You know my ratings.
Doesn't matter.
Like I said, we would like to meeting for 2 hours.
2 hours?
No, it is long, that's the thing, is, but I'm counting.
Imagine someone's like, whereas
I just. I try to get as much as possible, like, all that read. And ask people to be of course. And then have a forum, so
On time, early is on time, so late.
True.
Because the message is
Well, I mean, like last time I only invited areas, and then I realized that I didn't power everybody.
So adorable, we need cake on her birthday yesterday.
Are you getting
Like, so the.
candle?
Yeah, you can get it. It's like on my birthday, and like,
Let you know, but.
It is your birthday on Sunday.
yeah, it's not today.
Should I send you a raven?
What?
Should I send him a raven? I don't understand the reference. Game of Thrones. Yes, right now.
Are you?
I don't want to. After languages.
Yeah, does it mean all you did?
I think I did.
No, there's more.
Because there needs to be a bit.
So, we would like to ask the professor to go.
Are you gonna say?
Here you go.
Not a social. There's like a.
Oh, yes, he has like the actual like.
No, wait. She's not. Yeah, but I think she's. What time? Like this program.
I think
Oh, I won't say also. I can make it happen.
Tuesday, AUCI Senate. I don't know. Yeah. Or do a charge. It has to be something like Mr. Senator, like me, and the other side, like AUCI Senate. You can't say like.
There has to be a motion.
Once the time of the meeting is confirmed.
So I think I did it, like, if we get apply for it, I just be like, if we, if you want to try to be.
I want to be. I said no, to go and. So we can visit, like, let's try it one time. The reason why.
That's where you be.
Sorry, what was that?
Somewhere like.
Friday if I can.
I wanted to try like.
Because I know that's kind of biology, that's what I said, so I don't think I'm assuming it's going to be perfect. So I know the brown house part.
I feel like like something right now. I think it's good.
Everybody's saying no.
We're doing like way back. So like.
Everything private, so then you marketing a lot, and then you have.
That's why I was like, I'm asking, that's what my.
I can immediately available.
So I'm saying to the just.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
Okay.
That's where I'm like, I'm okay, but like I know that you guys, some of you are way better. Just enough so that.
Or do you want like?
But how can we get that last one?
I want to move it. So like it's gonna be fine when we have like some food and
This is like, we're saying you can actually.
We're like ready.
And if it's not,
I think it's late.
Motion to end school breakouts? Second.
There's motion to end school breakouts on the floor, and there's been a second.
I mean, it's 45.
So there's been a motion to end school breakouts on the floor, and there's been a second. Are there any objections?
I object.
Okay, so we'll now move on into a roll call vote. Vote in the affirmative if you would like to continue school breakouts, vote in the negative to end school breakouts.
Objection by Kava. No, you have motion on the floor. You didn't specify how you were going to vote, did you?
Yes, vote in the affirmative if you would like to continue school breakouts, vote in the
But the
negative.
motion didn't say by acclamation, so I have to go roll call.
Yes, but I'm going to read. Yeah. So the secretary will.
Chair, may I withdraw my objection? Is it allowed?
No. Once an objection is made, you may not withdraw. So secretary will begin the roll call vote.
Senator Cervantes is not. They're not here either. They're not here. Senator Lopez Polito.
Yes. Yes.
Senator Rubalcaba.
I abstain.
Senator Damavandi. Senator Damavandi, do you move to end school breakouts? Aye is yes. Was that yes?
Yes.
Cool. Senator Yan.
Yes.
Senator Lim.
Yes.
Senator Liu. Aye. Senator Martinez.
Yes.
Senator Gudeman.
For information, like,
Aye.
We're in a vote is on order.
because I think what Rodrigo said, when you said
Okay,
different.
that's out of order. We're in a roll call vote.
Okay, yes.
Senator Kuriakose. Is he not here?
You are.
Senator Saba.
Yes.
Senator Munoz. Who's also not here. Senator Matt.
Yes.
Senator Artunian. Senator Sandhu.
Yes.
Senator Gill.
Yes.
Senator Calderon. Yes. With 13 yeses, 0 nos, and 1 abstention, the motion passes.
All right, school breakouts has ended. We'll now move on to our next item on the
Point of
agenda.
information. Before I thought Liam said that we should vote for the affirmative to continue school breakout.
No.
No,
Okay,
let's vote to in affirmative to end school breakouts.
okay, just making sure.
Yes,
Motion to take item number 405 from the table.
Second. I didn't hear.
They're not here. Well, I said till 6:30, so we're late on it. That's why.
so item 6.5, because the motion was to postpone, correct?
No,
table.
what's the table? Just
Okay, so
6:30.
what's,
Motion to,
Do you want to table?
yeah, we can take.
yeah, motion to table until the Senate intern candidate arrives. Oh, wait, no, because
No.
I'm not gonna be with the.
Yeah, we would say for other specific
Okay,
things.
so, yeah,
Oh, until 7 p.m.
Wait, I think it's like, the allocated time is like until 6:40, right? Because it's minutes.
Okay.
Until 6:40?
Until 6:40. Yeah.
okay, so. You have to look. You did it, you did. So there has been a second. Are there any objections? Hearing and seeing none, we will now move on to final business. We have no items under final business. So we'll now move on to announcements.
Question?
Yes.
What?
You're making it.
Okay, well, did we say we're gonna have a social? Is it still happening?
We are, but it's not like unofficial. So, we could just, if we all agree to go out to eat somewhere, we can. if we want to.
Did we say that somewhere?
It was on the Senate page.
Yeah,
Facebook.
I gave the date, and then everyone, a lot of people agreed on it, but then I realized literally yesterday that it was tomorrow, which is Shocktoberfest. So like, I'm still down, but like, I don't know if others are.
Oh.
What time?
Let me go back.
Also, me and Sal were talking, and he brought up something that I think is, would be cool to try out. You want to?
Oh, so a lot of the times, we're referenced as being like the castle on top of the hill, but we don't like really like go out. So I suggested to the business center if we could maybe host like maybe a meet and greet at the business school or at the school so that we can get to meet the business editors and centralize it so that we can meet maybe different schools at the same time. So it was like, we would go at a terrace and then we would say like, oh, meet your senators or ASUCI, and then maybe if that's successful, we could try it at different schools. And that way we can go to schools throughout the year and we could say that, hey, we went out and tried to meet our constituents.
Would it be on the same day at 5/7, or would that be a separate time?
It could be a separate time, it could be, I don't think we can because we'd have to amend the bylaws, but it would be a different time.
Are there any other announcements? That we'll move on to 14, adjournment of meeting. Is there a motion on the floor?
Did it wait until 6:40 or technically? I
It's
don't
up to
know.
us, we can end it or not.
To adjourn would be to table.
Yeah.
I was actually really confused. Well, I mean, my understanding of the motion was that you removed it from the table,
But there were no objections.
and you were just gonna wait until 6:40, and then you were gonna move on to the agenda? But you
Yeah,
moved
we're
on to
gonna
the
move
agenda, at this point, you either adjourn or you just like wait.
Just wait then.
Hey, Elliot, well,
You
we
just
have
make
just
a
3
motion.
more minutes, like 3 more minutes.
We can talk, come on.
Yeah. What do you guys?
It's just like 3 minutes.
What do y'all
And then we-
think? Yeah.
Hey, let's just wait 3 minutes.
3 minutes and then we can.
Happy birthday.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, in case you forgot, it's the Senator Gunnavan's birthday on Sunday. So,
Okay.
whether we sing to him or not,
I'm gonna
let's
break-
put it into the world that it's his birthday this weekend, so happy birthday.
Yes, here you go. He's a king.
Show the world you don't care.
The live stream is watching.
10 years later, when the new government, 10 years later, watches our live stream, like, what are we talking about, my birthday, like?
And it's important, it's part of your household, so. We really love you. We appreciate you.
Move that we sing happy birthday.
I
I'm gonna break car, I'm like, goodbye. I'm gonna break car. Oh, yes, yes, I read, the cars are broken.
It's just an objection. I object.
No.
I object.
Wait, is that? No.
It wasn't recognized. You know we care about saving lives.
Right.
Right.